Have you ever noticed this? Two men walk into the same room, same age, same job, same background. They even say similar things. But something strange happens. One man is instantly respected. People listen when he speaks. They don't interrupt him. They don't talk down to him. They don't test him. The other man, he's barely acknowledged. He gets talked over. He gets corrected unnecessarily. He gets that subtle tone, the one that says, "You don't really matter here." And here's the part that messes with most men's heads. It's not confidence. It's not looks. It's not money. It's not status. It happens too fast for any of that. So what is it? The uncomfortable truth is this. Respect is not earned slowly. It's detected instantly. Women don't sit down and decide whether to respect a man. Their nervous system registers him before attraction, before logic, bore intention. And once that signal is sent, everything else follows. Tone, behavior, boundaries, interest. If you've ever been ignored, spoken to with subtle disrespect, or treated like you need to prove yourself, this video isn't here to shame you. It's here to explain the mechanism. Because once you understand the mechanism, you stop trying harder and you start moving differently. Let's start with the first and most important factor, the one everything else is built on. Point number 1, he has an internal frame. When I say frame, I'm not talking about ego. I'm talking about an internal structure, a set of values, a sense of self. A clear internal axis that says, this is who I am, this is how I move, this is what I tolerate, this is what I don't. A man with an internal frame doesn't need permission to exist. He doesn't check the room before speaking. He doesn't adjust his personality to fit approval. He doesn't soften his presence to be liked. He's not aggressive. He's anchored. Now here's the key psychological mechanism. When a man does not have a strong internal frame, the world supplies one for him. Other people project expectations onto him, define him, interrupt him, reframe him. That's why some men feel like they disappear in conversations. They don't create gravity. They get absorbed. Men without a frame are shaped by the environment. Men with a frame shape the environment, without force, without dominance. Just presence. Let me give you a simple example. Two men say the same sentence. I think that's the better approach. One sounds like he's asking permission. The other sounds like he's stating reality. Same words, different frame. Women detect this instantly, not consciously, neurologically. A man with a frame signals stability. And stability is the foundation of respect. Now, here's where many men misunderstand this. They think having a frame means being rigid or argumentative. No, it means you don't disappear under pressure. Which brings us to point number 2. He is not emotionally reactive. This one is huge because calmness under pressure is one of the strongest respect signals a man can send. When a man reacts emotionally, especially defensively, his nervous system is broadcasting something very specific. I'm overwhelmed. I'm off balance. I'm trying to regain control. And the moment that happens, respect leaks out of the interaction. Not because the woman is cruel, but because reactivity signals instability. Think about it. When someone raises their voice, over-explains, or rushes to justify themselves, do they feel authoritative? Or do they feel uncertain? Calmness communicates authority, not because it's intimidating, but because it signals internal regulation. A man who doesn't react immediately doesn't need to. He's not trying to manage the other person's emotions. He's managing his own. Now compare 2 responses to subtle disrespect. The reactive man. What do you mean by that? Why would you say it like that? I was just trying to help. The grounded man. Silence. A pause. A calm look. Or a simple, steady response. Let's keep this respectful. No explanation, no emotional charge. Same situation, completely different signal. One man is trying to regain footing. The other never lost it. And here's the important insight. Women don't respect emotional suppression. They respect emotional control. A man who can feel something and not immediately act on it is signaling leadership, because leadership starts with self-regulation. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that the more you explained yourself, the less respected you felt? That's not a coincidence. Explanation is often an attempt to regain lost authority. And authority doesn't come from words. It comes from regulation. Now, pause here, because these first 2 points are the foundation. Internal frame, emotional regulation. Without these, nothing else matters. You can dress better, speak louder, try harder, but respect won't stick. In the next part, we're going to talk about something even more uncomfortable. Why seeking permission kills respect instantly. Why willingness to walk away changes how people treat you. And why purpose creates gravity before attraction ever appears. But we'll stop here. Because if you don't fully absorb this foundation, the rest will sound like tactics. And this is not about tactics. It's about becoming solid. Now let's go deeper. Because this is where respect is either locked in or quietly destroyed. Point number 3. He doesn't seek permission. This one is subtle, and that's why it's deadly. Most men don't realize how often they ask for permission without using the word permission. They soften their statements. They add qualifiers. They turn decisions into questions. Is it okay if What do you think about maybe? I was just wondering if... Again, none of this makes you a bad person, but psychologically it sends a very specific signal. Low certainty. And certainty is a leadership cue. When a man consistently asks for permission, he's communicating something beneath the words. I need external approval to move. And the moment that signal is detected, respect drops. Not because women want to dominate men, but because uncertainty feels unsafe. Now contrast that with a man who speaks from decision. I'm going to head out at 6. I'm working on this tonight. I'm not available then. He's not aggressive. He's not dismissive. He's simply stating reality. And here's the key difference. One man asks to exist. The other assumes his existence is valid. Women don't respond to certainty because it's loud. They respond to it because it's stable. And stability creates gravity. Let me give you a real-world example. 2 men invite the same woman out. The first says, "Would you like to maybe grab a drink sometime if you're free?" The second says, "I'm grabbing a drink Thursday. You should join." Same invitation, completely different frame. One is auditioning. The other is extending an offer. Respect responds to the man who moves first, internally. Now here's where men get confused. They think not seeking permission means being inconsiderate. It doesn't. It means you're clear. Clarity removes friction. Now let's move to point number 4. This is where respect either deepens or collapses. He is willing to walk away. This might be the most uncomfortable truth in this entire video. The man who is afraid to lose has the least leverage. Not because he's weak, but because fear leaks into behavior. Over-explaining, over-investing, tolerating subtle disrespect, trying to fix moments that should have ended cleanly. And women sense this instantly. A man who cannot walk away is negotiating from fear. And fear cannot command respect. Now listen carefully. This is not about playing games. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about optionality. A man who knows he can leave does not need to threaten it. He doesn't posture. He doesn't test. He simply doesn't stay where he isn't respected. And that boundary changes everything. Let me paint a simple picture. A woman cancels plans last minute without explanation. One man says, "It's okay, I understand. Whenever you're free is fine." The other says, "No worries, let me know when your schedule stabilizes." Same calm tone, but very different signals. One communicates availability at any cost. The other communicates self-respect. And here's the pattern. Respect follows optionality. When someone knows you are choosing them, not clinging to them, their behavior shifts. Not because they fear losing you, but because they sense your center. Now, here's an important distinction. Walking away doesn't mean leaving at the first inconvenience. It means you don't negotiate your dignity. You don't explain why respect matters to you. You demonstrate it by what you tolerate and what you don't. Now we move to point number 5. This one ties everything together. He moves with purpose. Purpose is not about being busy. It's about direction. A man with purpose has priorities, a schedule, a forward motion. His life is already moving. And when someone enters it, they join the movement. They don't become the center of it. This is critical because direction creates a sense of evolution. And evolution creates attraction and respect long before emotion does. Now compare this with a man who is drifting. No clear goals, no structure, no forward pull. His time is completely available. His attention is easily redirected. At first, this feels flattering, but over time it becomes heavy because a man without direction unconsciously asks others to supply it. And that creates pressure. A woman doesn't want to be a man's purpose. She wants to witness it. A man with purpose doesn't orbit people. People orbit him. Not because he demands it, but because momentum is magnetic. Now here's where everything clicks. Internal frame, emotional regulation. No permission seeking. Willingness to walk away. Purpose. These are not techniques, they're signals. And women respond to signals faster than they respond to words. Which leads us to the uncomfortable truth. Women don't disrespect men by choice. They respond to what they feel before a single sentence is processed. Tone, posture, pacing, decisions. Respect is not about dominance, it's about grounded presence. And grounded presence cannot be faked. Now let's address a few misunderstandings that ruin men. Being nice does not create respect. Effort does not create authority. Explaining does not create leadership. Those are performances. Respect responds to self-leadership, to a man who doesn't need to prove he belongs. He already knows. Now pause here. Because this is the moment where many men feel a shift. They realize respect isn't something missing from the world. It's something missing from alignment. And in the final part, we're going to bring this all together. We'll talk about why respected men don't demand anything, why disrespect becomes uncomfortable around them, and how to embody this without becoming cold, distant, or performative. But we'll stop here, because if you rush past this part, you'll try to apply it externally. And this only works when it's internal. Now let's bring everything together. Because the men women respect the most are not doing anything dramatic. They're not loud, they're not intimidating, they're not trying to be impressive. They are simply solid. And solidity changes the entire emotional climate around you. Here's the lesson most men never hear. The men women respect don't demand it. They don't ask for it. They don't negotiate for it. They live in a way that makes disrespect uncomfortable. Not because they punish it, but because it doesn't fit their reality. When a man has an internal frame, emotional control, clarity in speech, willingness to walk away, and purpose in motion, something subtle happens. People adjust. They lower their voice. They choose their words more carefully. They stop testing. Not consciously, instinctively, because respect is not a social agreement. It's a nervous system response. Now, let's revisit the 5 elements one last time. First, internal frame. This is your internal standard, what you value, what you tolerate, what you refuse to bend on. When this is clear, you don't need to assert it. It shows up in how you move. Second, emotional regulation. You don't react to every stimulus. You don't rush to defend yourself. You don't chase validation. Your calm becomes your authority. Third, no permission seeking. You stop auditioning for approval. You speak in decisions, not questions. Not because you're closed, but because you're grounded. Fourth, willingness to walk away. You don't stay where respect disappears. You don't explain why your boundaries matter. You demonstrate them. Fifth, purpose. Your life is moving forward. People can join you, but they don't become your direction. Now here's the twist most men don't expect. This is not about women. This is about you. Women are not withholding respect. They are reflecting your internal alignment. When a man is unclear with himself, the world mirrors that confusion. When a man is solid, the world responds accordingly. And this is why trying harder never works. Effort without alignment looks like neediness. Niceness without boundaries looks like submission. Explanation without authority looks like insecurity. Now let's make this practical. Build an internal standard. Decide what you tolerate before you're emotional. Slow down your reactions. Silence is often more powerful than explanation. Stop auditioning. If you're constantly trying to prove your value, you've already placed yourself below it. Keep your life moving forward. Progress creates gravity. And when respect disappears, leave. Not angrily, not dramatically, calmly, because walking away is not rejection. It's self-respect in motion. Now let me say something important. You don't need to become colder. You don't need to become harder. You don't need to become someone else. You need to become solid. Respect is not something you negotiate. It's something you embody. And once you do, something interesting happens. You stop worrying about being ignored because your presence speaks before you do. Now I want to hear from you. Comment, I felt that difference, if this explains something you've experienced but couldn't articulate. Like this video if you're done trying to prove yourself, and subscribe if you want clarity, not gimmicks. Because the men who are respected most are not the ones performing. They're the ones who are grounded. And grounded men are impossible to ignore.